When I ring Brisbane's Jellyfish restaurant to book this lunch, I let them know a photographer will be there to take some pictures of my guest. Are you proposing? The waitress asks. It's 3 days since same-sex marriage became legal. I gather a few people have popped the question. It's an achievement Attorney General George Brandis is keen to celebrate when we meet on a mild Monday a stone's throw from his Eagle Street office, at a seafood joint with expansive views over the Brisbane River and Story Bridge. For the first time in a while, it has been a pretty good week for the government, and for Brandis himself. In addition to finally securing marriage equality, Brandis introduced an extensive overhaul of Australia's laws on foreign espionage, interference and transparency. And in recent months, he has enjoyed something of a renaissance in the public's consciousness, especially among those of liberal persuasion, courtesy of a number of passionate speeches and interventions. The occasion calls for a toast, though Brandis has to be strong-armed into sharing a bottle of Cloudy Bay Sauvignon Blanc. The long lunch is a lost art form in both law and journalism, we agree, but it's December, and old habits die hard. Brandis spent his early childhood in Sydney before moving to Brisbane and attending Villanova College. He studied law at the University of Queensland, but was most interested in the humanities, primarily the history of ideas. He gave student politics a wide berth but was politically active outside campus, and wrote his honours thesis on the role of ideology in the Liberal Party. He was one of the first people to assess the subject seriously, he says. The young Brandis rejected the common view that the Labour Party was intellectually interesting and the Liberal Party was philistine and intellectually barren. Rather, it embraced the English liberal tradition, best extolled by Robert Menzies in his then unloved speeches about the forgotten people. I put it to Brandis that perhaps the Liberal Party has strayed from those roots. Not lately, he exclaims. If anything, events in recent weeks show the opposite is true. As enter arrive, Tasmanian oysters for him, crab ceviche for me, Brandis is on a roll about the intersection between philosophers Immanuel Kant, Isaiah Berlin and Michael Oakeshott. It reminds me of an observation by one of his colleagues that Brandis is one of the few liberals in Parliament who could deliver a lecture on the philosophy of the Liberal Party. The government would lose a chunk of its intellectual heft if it lost Brandis, the colleague lamented. Some MPs say it's unfortunate Brandis is finding his voice toward the end of his career rather than the beginning. They point to his powerful, impromptu dressing down of Pauline Hanson after she entered the Senate wearing a burqa, his passionate speeches on marriage equality and his apparent swipe at Peter Dutto in defense of the legal profession. But Brandis rejects the idea he is swinging freely into the sunset, or that he has reinvented himself as a quasi-lefty. I haven't deliberately reinvented anything, he says.